Welcome to ChamberTalk, brought to you by North Orange County Chamber, where we explore the stories and insights of leaders, business owners and CEOs from various sectors who are making a difference in our community and region. Whether you're tuning in via podcast or joining us via video, we're glad to have you here. I'm your host, Andrew Gregson, and today we have the honour of welcoming Dr. Steve McLaughlin, Superintendent of Fullerton Joint High School District. Thank you for coming in today.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
It's been a minute since we met last.
It has been.
And I know you've done a lot since then, and I wouldn't want you to fill everything in, but you want to give us maybe a quick introduction of the school district, maybe how many schools you've got under you?
Yeah, well, again, thanks for having me here, and appreciate the partnership, especially with schools and education in the area. As you mentioned, Steve McLaughlin, Superintendent. This is my fourth year as Superintendent of Fullerton Joint Union High School District. We're a high school district made up of grades 9 through 12. We have 6 comprehensive high schools, and then we have an alternative ed school, and we have an online school as well. So 7 campuses with 8 programs. We have approximately 12,500 students that serve the areas of Buena Park, Fullerton, and Fullerton, La Habra, and then we stretch into some other municipalities. So we really wide region. There are 4 feeder elementary districts that feed into us: Lowell, Buena Park, La Habra City, and Fullerton Elementary. So together, work collaboratively with those superintendents as well. And there's approximately 40,000 students in the area in our 5 school districts. And
you mentioned there at the very beginning, this is your 4th year. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Reaching 4 years is a big thing, isn't it, these days? But can you share a little bit about, how you got to that role? Because, you didn't just start one day and get the job.
No, it's a great question. I love telling the story, and I would challenge anyone as you're coming into education, if you met anyone that says someday I want to grow up to be a school superintendent. So no, in actuality, as the story goes, when I was 14, 15 years old, I'm in high school and trying to figure out my life and what do I want to be when I grow up. And I was really into history and politics, but I really loved going to school. School was a safe place for me, gave me activities, friends, a lot of mentors, and so I'll never forget, it was in a history class in high school, and I made a conscious decision. I was going to do one of 2 things. I really wanted to make an impact. I really wanted to serve society and kind of give back. And 2 thoughts came in my mind. One, I was going to be president of the United States at 14, 15, right? Who doesn't? Or 2, I wanted to be a teacher. And those were really my 2 thoughts. And as I ended high school, I realized that becoming an educator was going to have a profound impact on kids, and as they did to me going through school.
Right.
And so I valued educators so much that I went into college, and my career path brought me into education. I became a teacher. I grew up down in San Diego, went to college down there. Actually went back to my school district where I grew up, because my dream was to coach high school basketball at Torrey Pines High School, where I graduated, and teach there. And I got most of it. I taught at the middle school that feeds into the high school, and I did get to teach or coach high school basketball, and I was living the dream. I loved teaching history. I taught a program called AVID, which was a program designed for underrepresented students to help them get into college, coach basketball. I'd gotten married, and things were great. Loved teaching until one day, you have mentors that tap you on the shoulder.
Sure.
And my principal said, you should go into school administration. And I said, no. I said, that's not something that I'm interested in. I love what I'm doing. I'm here. I'm committed. And I just want to be a great teacher. And she said something to me, and that was super profound. And she said, you don't have to be in the classroom in order to be a great teacher. And it really opened up my mind to the possibility of school leadership, and that's where I got my master's degree in school administration.
Right.
And so that propels me into the world of school administration, which then enabled me to become a school site administrator, activities director, assistant principal. I was a middle school principal. I was a director. I was an assistant soup. And so now in my career, after 25 plus years, I've been in 5 different school districts, 4 of which have been in Orange County. and have loved every minute of it. And then when the position opened up in Fullerton Joint, I researched the district. I knew people from the district and around the district, knew it to be a very strong district, a very supportive district, a great community, a great board. And so I was fortunate enough to apply and get hired, and here I am 4 years later.
That's amazing.
Very excited.
I really love your enthusiasm. You should, right? Being the super, you should really have that enthusiasm. But I really do love it. On that point, we hear that, sometimes it's difficult for some school districts to even recruit new teachers and stuff. And, with somebody with so much enthusiasm for teaching, what message do you have for folks who are maybe thinking about it or not quite sure?
Yeah, first and foremost, do it. It's so worthwhile. Going into the field of education, you get even more than you give. And so every step of my career, the value of working with young people and helping to not just provide information or content like history, but really coach and shape their lives. And then you can get involved in other things like coaching I have coaching in my mind, but you be coaching. You get into whether it's athletics or visual performing arts or some extended activities to work with young people. It's a service to the community, and there are a lot of perks, right? You're in an institution that really is one of the very few across our country that everybody shares, right? Everybody shares
That's
an
true.
Educational journey,
Yeah.
whether you're in public school or private schools. It's very, very much similar. And so when you think of the fabric of democracy as we know it, it really threads through our educational system. So I would encourage people to entertain the idea. We definitely need educators in our ranks. There are places that are struggling to fill them. In Fullerton Joint, thankfully, we although it's challenging, we don't have those same challenges. We've made a concerted effort in the last 4 years to really broadcast and showcase our district on a multitude of platforms, whether that's social media. We've done a lot of videography. We've gotten out into the community, and I think that those messages are also attracting educators to our district. So we encourage everybody to apply because we want the best candidates, and we're fortunate to get some really quality people through that experience.
Now, you did a great lead in there without knowing it, talking about challenges. What sort of challenges does a superintendent face? Because they're very different to maybe what people think in the educational field.
Yeah, superintendent's a unique position for a school district because I am the sole employee of the school board. The school board hires a superintendent to manage or run the district, a la CEO, if you will. In which case, I work very closely with a cabinet team, so 4 incredible individuals that help support the decision-making process, and then get to interact with our associations and a variety of community members. And so my job is really to interface with the board of education and executing their vision, right, their priorities. And fundamentally, our board is focused on kids and ensuring that all kids have access to the best education, the best resources, the best supports. And so then I work with a team in which in how to execute those ideas, right? It seems simple enough when you say it, but as the world turns, there are a variety of things that impact our job, whether that's inconsistent funding that comes from the state or the federal level. Right now, the whole state of California is in declining enrollment, so we're losing students, whether it's to other regions of the state or outside of the state. There's a lower birth rate, and so that has an impact. We have to be cognizant of the various choices that are out there for schools or for families to choose schools, and so how do we ensure our brand is that we market ourselves and we brand ourselves so people understand who we are and what we stand for. There's a lot of political aspects to it as well, as far as legislation at the state and federal level. So superintendents get to work with our local electeds, whether that's state or federal, or even in the community, such as our supervisors or our
City council
city council
sometimes,
members, right? And so that's a lot of what I do is working with the board on a day-to-day basis to communicate with them the work of the district in a variety of ways. So we manage the school board meetings, which are open public meetings, where it's a meeting of the Board of Education in public, and so helping to facilitate that. We ensure that our budget is on track and we're spending money effectively and efficiently. So there's a lot that goes into being a superintendent, but I always go back to that piece which I shared about my mentor, is that I never left teaching. I think of in terms of how do we create and cultivate an experience where we're learners and we're always learning, whether it's me, whether it's the school board, whether it's the team, how to use research and data to inform our practices, how do we communicate effectively in the areas in which we're successful in, how do we identify our areas and targets of growth, and let's be transparent about that, and let's talk with a variety of people, families, community, teachers, administrators, whomever. If there's a good idea, we should be open to it, because at the end of the day, we're talking about kids' lives and how to support them and their families through this journey we call high school.
That's true. Now, you mentioned a lot about board there, and obviously a lot of people out there that might be thinking, oh, board of directors, whatever, but with a school board it's slightly different. We'd like to share a little bit about how that is different in the world of education.
Yeah, so in the Fullerton Joint Union High School District, we have 5 trustees from 5 unique trustee areas. So they're individually elected through their trustee areas, although they do support the entire district. And so their role is to really look at kind of a policy and give vision and direction. Obviously, I work within our board policies, our administrative regulations. We educate them regularly on information that's going on within the school district. I meet with them prior to each board meeting and ensure that they have all the information necessary to make effective decisions. At the end of the day, when they come to vote, it's a majority vote. So in our case, we have 5 board members. Some school districts have 7. Some might have 3. But in our case, you need 3 in order to pass an item forward. And so it's really incumbent on me working with them to give them as much information as possible to make the most effective decisions for our district and our community.
And out of interest, because obviously you hear so much controversy sometimes on TV or in the media about all sorts of things, and whether schools are deciding to teach one curriculum or another. How do you all work together? Because obviously the board's going to be talking to you about this because they're looking at what it is. How do you navigate through that?
Yeah, great question. In the state of California, it's really determined at the state level. So depending on the curriculum that we're looking to entertain adoption with, it could be English, math, science, history. Those are vetted at the state level through the Board of Education, and the offerings are, there are many, there are several, but they basically narrow it down. And then at the local level, that we go through a process that has a lot of input from our teachers. They're the ones who are going to be implementing that curriculum, and so we actually are in one right now. We're in a pilot phase around curriculum in science and English, and so we have teacher leaders that select from the board adopted curriculum. They then narrow it down to 1 or 2 that they want to pilot. We pilot that within the school system. Then we bring it forward to the board on a recommendation. Then the community has a chance to weigh in as well. So there's always a community a pause so that the community can provide input before the board goes to adoption. And at the end of the day, though, it is the board's decision on what curriculum to adopt at the localist level. And so at the end of our pilot, we will recommend, or we have recommended, 2 curriculums, one for science and one for English. They're in public viewing right now, and then the boards will come forward and make the decision.
And when they're in public viewing, does that sometimes make people go back to the drawing board and think about what was said at public comment or anything like that? Or is it really, it's just a case of, well, it's our job to make the decision, so this is what we've got to go with?
Yeah, it depends. It depends on the district. It depends on the curriculum being adopted. It depends on the public input. But the intent is so that all stakeholders have an opportunity for input. And at the end of the day, the board will weigh all of that input, from the teacher recommendation to the administrative recommendation or the staff recommendation. And then also it's important, and our board does a great job at listening to community input. So if it was incongruent with the community, it may cause our board to ask our staff to go back and pilot another curriculum or see if there's a way in which to modify or adjust the curriculum to adopt it to meet the community needs. But no, the input session is really important, the community input session, especially in helping boards to make that decision.
I like the strategic thinking there, because really, to be honest, it's how it should be, isn't it? It's how it should work.
Absolutely.
That's how it works properly.
Absolutely.
So you were mentioning a little bit ago that how enrollment can really impact a district, whether it's yours or not. Obviously, it's not at the moment. How does it play a huge impact for the district itself, or any school district?
Yeah, in general, in the state of California, we get funded based on enrollment and then how many kids show up each day.
Right.
So it's average daily attendance, or
wow.
ADA. Right. So overall enrollment trends across the state have been trending down, and they will be. They anticipate for at least another 10, 12 years. And so what that means is that the state of California provides resources per student resources to each school district. So if you lose one student or 100 students or 1,000 students, then your budget is actually reduced going into the next year. Wow. And then they take a calculation based on how many students show up each day. So what we're fortunate in our community, we have approximately 96% of our kids come to school every single day.
Oh, that is very high. That's
very high average. And especially post-COVID, we've seen attendance trends around the state decline in other school districts. So where school districts were trending around 94, 95%, they're now in the 91%. Wow. And so the impact on a school district like that, when you lose kids and then your students aren't coming as regularly, then you get less money from the state of California to run your operations. We're fortunate in Fullerton Joint where we've actually are losing at students at a very slow rate, less than 1% a year, so approximately 100 to 200 students. And when I say lose, we're declining enrollment based on birth rate, based on mobility, and then our attendance rates are 96%. So we're able to have a very stable funding source for us to predict our budget going into next year. And actually the state of California asks us to predict into 3 years.
Oh, really?
And so if we have very consistent enrollment trends and attendance trends, that gives us great stability as far as making decisions on how to put that into the operation.
Right. You can plan ahead far better, can't you?
Absolutely. Right. And the majority of a budget in a school district is in personnel. So approximately 80 to 90% of all school districts, their budget goes to support personnel, and rightfully so, especially our teachers. They're in the field. They're the ones interfacing with the kids and the families, but that includes counselors, that includes support staff, administrators. And so what that does mean, if we are losing funding based on declining enrollment, and then that also means that potentially we would need less employees. Thankfully, in Fullerton Joint, we have a history of really stable fiscal solvency. We have a very high reserve that allows us to navigate historically through the downturns in economies to provide stability to our community, but also our staff. And so we've been able to maintain a lot of amazing programs, even in the downturns. And it's been a while since there's been a downturn, but during those times we've been able to navigate it. So enrollment plays a huge role in how we determine how to provide services to our community.
That's huge, isn't it, really, if you think about it? It really is down to daily?
Yeah, so they take it's average daily attendance.
Wow.
Yeah, so
that's crazy. So when mum and dads keep the kids off school for a couple of days, and there's a few of them who do it, let's say, that could potentially over time add up to not bonus points, but bad points against the district.
Yeah, it could, and decrease funding, and rightfully so, right?
Yeah,
when
I get
somebody's
it.
sick,
Yeah,
absolutely,
yeah.
and then at post-COVID as well, we've seen different trends, and rightfully so. If somebody's hurting or they're sick, but it's also in a sense in some places where families have the the ability, they might travel, they might take vacations during school, and that could have an impact overall on
funding,
and so you'll see see a lot of school districts that do attendance campaigns, and they educate the community of the importance of coming to school, not just for the time in the classroom to learn, but the potential financial impact should you choose to take that 2-week vacation. And there are a lot of them that could have an impact on a school or a school district.
Wow, the following year's worth of stuff. So leading on to that, because that's a very great point, is, how do you determine, or how do you look at putting in maybe new programs? So, like you're saying, if you understand you've got a budget for X amount, you go, okay, we could probably fit in a STEM program there, or we could do that. How do you decide what overtakes one from STEM to AI or whatever?
Well, in a lot of ways, it's based on community demand and trends and transitions, and I'll just say industry, if it is going to be in STEM or career technical education. There's always going to be the foundational math, English, science, history. Always going to be. Yep. There's going to be physical education, always going to be. And so then we get to play in different areas such as world languages, such as STEM or career technical education, and other elective programming. And so within our school district, with our 6 comprehensive schools, those are very distinct communities as well. And so it's great, and Fullerton joined. It's the first district I've been in that has so many farms. We at 6 of our schools, we have fully operating, functioning farms. One of my favorite stories is, as I accepted the job, I got a tour of all the campuses. And at Sonora High School, I walked to the back field where the baseball field is, and there's the farm. The farm is connected to the home run fence of the baseball field, and so you have a cow looking through the fence of the baseball field, watching the baseball game, right? And in my mind, I'm waiting for that home run to go and hit the cow, like a minor league team, and you win cheeseburgers for everybody, right? Whatever that is. So that's a unique program that historically in our school district has been in high demand. In some cases, 60% of our students at some of our schools take at least one ag program or one ag class, because that might count towards their science, or something like that, or an elective. And so our kids have a chance to feed goats and raise chickens and cows, and sometimes they just get to get outside, and so they have a different experience.
It's a lot of learning, isn't it?
A ton of learning, right? And when we get into industry, right? So let's take the automotive industry, right? So where in my day, right, it was kind of the auto shop. Let's change the oil. Still very important, but cars now have a lot of computers in them, and there's electric cars. And so how do we then adapt and evolve with them? And this is where our regional occupation programs, or ROP programs, come into play. And so we partner with them.
Right.
So we have a multitude of auto shops. A lot of videography is emerging. There's other industry, robotics, right? A big push into the robotics, and we have a state-recognized robotics program at Buena Park High School. And you walk into those classrooms, and they're flying drones in these cages, and they're programming arms to move things around. And so the demand of industry, the demand of the community. We have foreign language programs like dual enrollment. So in Fullerton and La Habra, there's dual language. So we have students who are in dual immersion programs in elementary, and now they come through high school and they have dual language programs. Elementary school, they have dual language programs in high school. And then the last piece is partnering with our local community colleges, offering dual enrollment opportunities where kids in high school can take college classes, right? So there's a multitude of ways in which to analyze really where to go from programming, but it really starts by asking the question to our community, what do you want?
Right.
What do you need?
Yeah.
Industry, what do we need? Families, what's of interest? And then we go back into our programs, and we're constantly evaluating how to help them evolve to meet the current trends.
And you mentioned a few things there. One of them was ROP, and they're very engaged in this area. So I suppose a question to that, because a lot of people might not quite see where it all fits together, but you collaborate with a lot of different entities to make things even better for the high school kids. You want to share a little bit about the importance of all these different organizations or entities that actually provide these other services?
Yeah, I love this question because our motto this year is FJUHSD, Uniting Communities, Engaging Minds, and Building Futures.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and with the emphasis on uniting communities. And so our kickoff day this year, we always have a kickoff day, and typically it's the management team, and then we've expanded it to our association leaders and other members of our internal staff. But this year we brought in approximately 60 members from the community, including our feeder districts, our industry partners, to showcase how we can all partner to expand opportunities for our kids. And so throughout our schools in various forms, I'll use Troy High School, for example, they have a lot of business partnerships and they have intern requirements through their Troy Tech program. And so having strong relationships with our business partners allows our high school kids to get industry experience while in high school. Super important, especially as they get ready to emerge from high school. And we call them post-secondary options, right? It's college to career or college and career. So some students are going right into careers, and we need to get them ready. Some are going to go to direct to 4 university, some to university, some are do blended programs. And so how do we get them involved in that type of experience? I'll also highlight another program. It's called BEAST. It's at Fullerton Union High School. And that BEAST program focuses on animatronics. If you think Pirates of the Caribbean, if you've ever been to Disneyland and you rode the rides and those robots are moving and singing and dancing, well, that program actually replicates in their classroom the building of those animatronics.
Oh, wow.
And so there's a partnership with Disney through their connections, and so they have a chance to emulate some of that work, and they built that actually last year into their theater production.
Okay.
So it blended.
That's nice.
It blended the BEAST program with our theater program, which then brought in our music program, and now we have this kind of holistic experience of an expression of look at all the things that come together.
It's whole production.
To kind of showcase it through what we would normally say a play.
Right.
It's not just a play.
No.
There's a lot of layers.
Cool.
We're definitely looking to figure out more and more partnerships, in essence, to get our students more experiences while they're coming through. And so if there is anyone out there, just reach out. Love to talk with you. And we have a variety of ways in which to connect throughout our schools.
I love that. That's really cool. Now, mental health and well-being has been a critical issue for students in today. How is the district integrating support programs to address any of those types of issues, or coming out COVID or whatever else is going on?
Yeah. Another really, really topical, great question. It's something that we've been watching for decades, right? We've watched and understood kind of a mental health concern within adolescents pre-COVID,
right?
Exacerbated by the COVID experience, and so we were fortunate post-COVID to get some funding from both the federal and the state level, and schools around the state have been doing this. But within Fullerton Joint, we took a real concerted effort, and we have placed what are called mental health specialists at every single one of our 7 campuses.
Oh, wow.
So in addition to the counseling team, and we have high school counselors, which are phenomenal, but they're also academic counselors that provide social and emotional support. These are specific wellness specialists, and we've created wellness rooms. These are rooms that are intended to give students sometimes just a breath, a timeout, somebody to connect with.
Right.
If you can imagine a high school student and all the things they deal with, from the pressures of academics to the socials to the new relationships to the looking at their future. Sometimes they just need a breath. Sometimes they need a timeout. They just need to check in and a place to relax, and we have those places. But sometimes they need a little bit more. And so our wellness specialists are dedicated people that can help them process those emotions, those feelings. And the intention is to actually get them right back into class, or to provide a resource, broader resources into the community. And so that's when throughout the county, Orange County does a great job at offering mental health resources that we then connect families or students to if necessary. So we do also survey our students on an annual basis to better understand how they feel connected or disconnected from school. And so we try to cultivate programs. And right now we have a very concerted effort of looking to ensuring that every kid on around every campus is connected to something. And we use a lot of data. So we have our athletic programs, our activities programs, which are led by amazing teachers at the sites and our administrators. And so we are reaching out to students and able to find students who haven't been to one dance, haven't been a part of a club, haven't been a part of anything. And now what we're doing is making a real targeted effort to invite them in.
Right.
Find a place where they can feel connected. Because the research around schools is the more connected they are to school, one person, one adult, it could be anyone, the greater likelihood of success within school. Both at feeling connected, feeling good about coming to school, but also it translates into student performance in the classroom, passing classes, doing well on tests, and then helping them to be successful postgraduate. So when we talk wellness, there's dedicated wellness specialists, but wellness is actually about feeling connected, about feeling heard, about feeling engaged, about feeling successful. And so in the Fullerton Joint Union High School District, we have a multitude of ways. You mentioned some of the programs, but we also are trying to find the students who may slip through the cracks. Our objective, our board's objective, is not to let anyone slip through the cracks. Right. And so we're constantly evaluating ways in which to connect with kids.
Now, you're mentioning there, obviously, over the years you've collected this information, call it data, which isn't always the easiest way of, figuring things out because you've got to collect it in some way. Can you give some examples of, what that means to you collecting data? Is it, asking questions? Is it, well, we've seen so many people attended this class and so many didn't attend that? How does it go around?
Yeah, a variety of ways, right? We use multiple points of data, and so we collect them through surveys. So we can survey our students, our community. That's a set of data. But it's interesting. One of the ways that we looked at data was students percentage of students who attended dances. And especially post-COVID, so pre-COVID, post-COVID. And what we've seen through these efforts is that we've had an increase of students attending school dances post-COVID. We've had an increase of students attending football games, basketball games post-COVID. Wow. We've had an increased amount of students who are participating in a variety of activities, clubs, you name it, post-COVID. And that is through, as I mentioned, a targeted effort to communicate with them in a variety of ways. We meet them where they are. So we have a very active social media feed. We're very, we just got recognized at the state of California. CalSPRA is the California League of School Public Relations. I'm going to mess it up, but I apologize. But through CalSPRA, so our district was just recognized last week for 2 of our marketing videos in the state of California, and then I was also just named one of 4 superintendents to watch in the world of public relations and marketing for the school districts in California. And it's really the effort of the team, but we want to make sure that we're trying to meet everybody where they are. So when it comes to students, we're heavy in social media. And our social media platform has a variety of ways in which we can interface with our students, celebrate our students. They can see their success out there because that's where they are, and their families, that's where they're getting information. So when it comes to the data, there's a variety of ways. But at the end of the day, we collect that data because we know it represents kids.
Sure.
And it sounds simple. We go talk to kids.
Right.
And we say, what's going on? How can we get better? And we get input from the kids. And then we go talk to the families. And we say, hey, parents, what can we do to get better? How can we service you better or our community better? We go to community groups, right? And so data is just one point of information, but it only matters when we start talking to the people that's impacted and gathering their ideas.
That's awesome. And congratulations, by the way. That's
Thank
really
you.
cool.
Thank you.
I'm sure it's not the easiest thing in the world.
Well, the team does a lot of the great work. I get some ideas, but actually we have a great team that puts it into practice, and we have a great partner who helps us with our videographer. Our videographer is a great partner to help with the production, high production value. And one of the things we've done too, we started this year to talk about data, is as kids are coming into our district, our families, every year they have to confirm their data. It's called data confirmation. So you go through a registration process every year, and they have to confirm their data. And so what we started asking is, how'd you hear about us? What do you know about us? Why are you picking us? And some of the early data trends are showing that some people are coming into our district from outside the district because they saw our messaging, they saw our videos online. Some people are picking us because they participated in athletics and they went onto our campuses and saw how beautiful they are, and how much they connected to them. A lot of people live in the area, right? And so they're staying in our districts and choosing us rather than another district,
right,
a private school, because of our high academic programs or the variety of programs we offer. So there's data that comes in on all different levels, but when it comes to connecting with the community, we think our messaging is getting out, and we're seeing some data to kind of showcase that. But we're going to leap back in and talk to people,
right,
and see how we can get better.
Now, you made a good point there, talking about high academic and all the good things that are going on, all cost good money. And obviously, without getting into all the nitty gritty of the politics and things, obviously funding may change a little bit, somewhat, what have you. How are you going to deal with that as a school? What are you looking at potentially doing so you can keep, doing everything that you're doing?
Yeah, in the world of public education in the state of California, funding is always unpredictable, and so as I mentioned,
we shouldn't laugh, really, should we?
Yeah, no,
you're right.
You either laugh or you cry.
Yeah.
And so we call them opportunities for growth, and so we're always looking for opportunities to grow, and so through experience and understanding that these things come and go and ebb and flow, it's really important, and this starts at our board level, that we're fiscally solvent, that we maintain a healthy reserve to navigate those uncertain times, especially in 2008, 2009. That was a really hard time in the state of California. Fullerton Joint was able to navigate it, leveraging reserves and not having to go through layoffs as other districts did. And so maintaining a healthy reserve, and that's a really important priority from the board and our associations, that we work in partnership in understanding that. So that's first and foremost. The other thing is optimizing our resources. So when we evaluate programs and we spend $1, the important things is what's the return on that dollar as far as student outcomes, and so we have to understand that there are limited resources, and so when we do get people together to talk about how to spend resources, what is research based that provides the best outcome, what input do we have from our practitioners in the field, such as our teachers in the classroom that works at a high level, and so having effective input cycles like that helps us to make better decisions moving into the future. And so with the unpredictability that there is right now, it's unfortunate that it's part of the conversation again, because there's not much clarity around what's going to happen.
Right. And it's hard to plan. That's
the hardest thing. And we're in a place right now where we're planning for next year, and the state of California is planning for next year, and they have to produce a budget by June 30th.
Right.
And they have to tell us how much money we're getting by June 30th. And there's a lot of unpredictability. Thankfully, within Fullerton Joint, again, we've been prudent with our finances, so we can say, we're in a good place. As a matter of fact, last year, I sent a message to the community, a letter that said to this end, that historically we've been fiscally prudent with our money, that we have no layoffs, that we actually have a robust programming, and to just reinsure people. And so what do we do in times of uncertainty? We communicate more. And that's our efforts with our community, is to say, funding is always unpredictable,
right,
but we've been doing it for so long in our district in such a good way, we'll be able to navigate this too.
So out of interest, because obviously you're not just thinking year to year, I mean, you're a planner. So with everything that's going on, and with it being a little bit unpredictable, how far out do you generally set your strategic goal or planning out? 5 years isn't really what anybody does that anymore. It's just an old saying. But what do you look at for the school when it comes to doing things like that?
Yeah, every budget planning cycle, we're required to actually do a 3-year planning budget,
right, okay,
a multi-year projection over 3 years. And so that's a requirement by the state. And so what the state evaluates then is, can you pay your bills for 3 years?
Mm-hmm.
And we can. So I want to make that very clear. But in some districts, it's challenging. Can you make it for 2 years? Can you make it for 3 years? And based on that analysis, then you have to register with the state. And so really a 3-year marker is what we look at. And that third year is if next year is unpredictable, you can imagine 3 years from now is unpredictable. And so what are some of the things that are priority from the board, priority for the community that we need to make sure that we maintain in our programming? And again, through effective decision making, effective input cycles, prioritization through what's called a local control accountability plan, which provides a lot of input from the community to us to make those decisions. We can balance our budget for the next 3 years.
Sure.
At the minimum, we have a healthy reserve in the neighborhood of 25 to 30%, which is a very strong reserve. And then we look at the cost of living adjustment that is predicted to come from the state, and then we can start to plan forward. But I'm confident to say here that our board has provided the proper direction. Our teams are working in tandem at all levels of the organization to ensure that we have stability in our program, that we're going to be able to offer arts, music, sports, the cores of math, English, science, history, the electives, the ag program. So the cows will get fed, right? The chickens will get fed. We'll be able to perform, and we have a very healthy budget for the next 3 years.
Well, if you have more chickens, you can make more money by
That's
selling
right,
eggs.
the eggs.
It'd be right up there, wouldn't it? So just out of interest, when you're doing this planning, do you also take in consideration what some of these outside entities provide because it's part of it, or is it purely, no, we've got to just know what we can afford to do or what we're planning to get through?
Yeah, when it comes to working with outside organizations that might support the schools through local donation or money, there's some consistent partners that do it year in and year out, so that becomes a little bit more predictable. Some come 1 year and leave the next year, which is great. We'll take when we can. And so what we try to do is look at the money we have and plan for 3 years. We try to understand where our partners are and their level of support over the 3-year trends. And then depending on if they can stay with us or not, then we try to offset internally with a resource. So if a program is being supported immensely by an outside partner and all of a sudden that goes away, can't we sustain that internally with internal funds? But first and foremost, we start with what's as much predictable as the state of California gives us some money, and we work in the federal government gives us some money, and we stay right there. And then the extras are what we call enhancements, right? We are able to expand or enhance our district standard, which we think is very high, especially comparative to other districts. But then you put these partnerships in with us, and then it even expands the opportunities.
And now what about trends? So, for example, I know that Fullerton College right now, they've gone really big on doing the remote, what do you call those? Drones and things, right? And they were one of the first to start this course off, and now it's taken off. Yeah. So does that also play a part in the high school district? Because like you were mentioning, some of these kids, they're either going to go to college or some of them might go, you know what, I've been watching TikTok and I'm going in business myself. Yeah. So do these trends also affect how the school maybe go in one direction or offer different programs throughout the year?
Yeah, we'll take the drone program, for example. And that's something 15 years ago didn't really
exist. Right.
And so as we see these emerging trends, we also want to understand is it a fad or is it something that is indeed a trend and an evolution in industry? And drones are. I mean, drones are here to stay. They're only going to get more complex, and people are going to use them in a variety of levels. And so understanding that our partner at Fullerton College is providing the certifications in it. So we start working with our college partners because really what we're trying to do is provide pathways. Right. And I mentioned post-secondary options. So what pathways do we have? And industry sometimes sets those pathways, and industry sometimes connects with the colleges or universities. And so we work very closely with Fullerton College, Cal State Fullerton. We actually are very connected in a lot of different other university partnerships to try to enhance our high school experience. And so those trends will definitely come into the high school. I mentioned auto shop, from the oil change to now the electric cars. Sure. Right. right? We have to be able to evolve into those systems. But I'll go back to the financing and the money. We have to also make sure that those are trends that are going to be here for 5-10 years.
Yes, yeah.
That it's not something that's going to come and go.
Right.
And so when we spend our money and we connect with those partners, that it's something that's sustainable. And we can resource them. And thankfully, drone costs have come way down
yes, they have.
from where they were, right?
Yep.
So we're able to get drones in the hands of our kids
Yeah.
right now. And we have competitions
That's
that our
cool.
kids compete in. They do very well. So that's just one way or one example of a trend, or it's not even emerging. It's here.
Yeah, it's here now, yeah.
But making sure we tie into our community college partners as well.
That's really cool. And just out of interest, because I would imagine it's a good thing, but who knows? So, being fortunate enough to be in Fullerton, where Fullerton does have a significant sized college, does have a university as well. Chapman's just round the corner.
Yep.
Does that make a big difference for a school district because you've got so much follow-through education?
It does. I think it really expands the opportunities for our families and our students.
Right.
And that's really the benefit.
Draws people to the city as well, right?
Absolutely.
Right.
So it really stabilizes the community, and then it elevates the educational conversation throughout the communities as well, right? So La Habra, Buena Park, Fullerton, right? We all have access into those higher levels of education. When we go to events, we're with our college partners.
Sure.
They come to our events as college partners, right? So we're talking about education, I'd say very frequently throughout the community. So it's great, and we celebrate their successes at the high school level, and likewise. Last year we co-hosted what's called a dual enrollment event at our theater at Fullerton High School with Fullerton College. And dual enrollment, as I mentioned, is an opportunity for high school kids to take college courses while in high school. And so Fullerton College has been a great partner with us. Same with Cal State Fullerton, so that we can expand those opportunities for our 11th, 12th graders to take community college courses while in high school. And many of our kids who are taking those courses are students who may not have seen themselves going to college.
I was just about to ask you that. I love that idea. You're getting experience already.
Yeah, and so where we typically think of students who are on the college path and are going to go to community for a year. A lot of these students are going through this experience, and they may be the first in their family to graduate high school, much less go to college. And so Buena Park High School, the principal over there, Dr. Sanji Berg, he came up with the idea in his program called Take Your Teacher to College, right? And what a benefit to that student. And we're providing supports from the high school as they take community college courses, and they're meeting with success. They're passing the course.
Sure.
And now they're starting to open up their mind as to the possibility of what options are available. Whether they go to college or not, what a gift that is for a student to say, the world's wide open to me.
Very positive.
And so that's been a wonderful partnership and really growing and emerging in the last, we've been in it for years, but really expanding those throughout our district and working with Fullerton College and Cypress College.
Now, what would you, if you were to give your best piece of advice to folks who, we mentioned before about careers, but that's, I suppose, in a way shaped your own career or leadership. What do you think? What do you think's like one of the best things that's helped you to get to where you are, or keeps you motivated, or get it out of bed and be happy every day?
Well, several things I'd say is and we talk about knowing our why. I wake up every day understanding why I do this. I do this for the same reason I got into it, is to help kids, is to provide opportunities and resources for kids and families, to work with amazing practitioners who are engaged in the same why, in supporting kids. So know your why. That's what I would say. Because in this business, right, things will shake you, especially as superintendent, right? And people come and they want to say things or say negative things about a school or a school district. You have to be grounded into why you're here. And so that is what I feel throughout the school district. I go back to our board, our staff, our community. We know why we're here. We're here to support kids. The other thing is adaptability. The unpredictability of a professional career, especially now 26 years in the field of education, the unpredictability of it is amazing. From the students I taught year in and year out, to the budget changes or the finance changes, to the political changes, to a COVID experience. So what skills does somebody have to adapt to the ever-changing world? And it feels like it's ever-changing even faster. And so for me, it's about being a learner. Right, so be open to other ideas and information. I use research and data. Right, I say data is information.
Sure.
It's what you do with it.
Yes, exactly.
And so how do we understand research and data? And at this stage, ensuring that the facts are the facts. Right, so benchmarking that against others. And then I'll end with what I said before is, and once I have that information, go talk to people. Right, that to me tends to be one of the missing elements is people read about it or they think about it, but there's not as much conversation or opportunities. And so what we do a lot is provide staff chances to talk from a variety of places within the district, partners from outside the district. We go and seek information from other schools that are being successful. We go to private industries that have successful cultures and how to create that inside. So yeah, being adaptable and being a learner are probably the two biggest assets. And then well, knowing your why.
Yeah.
Why do you wake up every day? I wake up every day because I know we get a chance to impact kids' lives, and it makes me so excited. Even in the hardest of hard days, I'm so excited to come to work every day.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Like a picture model superintendent, aren't you? That's awesome.
I just have fun.
So as we come to the close, we always give our guests the opportunity to share whatever they want. It could be a shout out to anyone in particular, or maybe there's something that we missed. So I'd like to give you the opportunity, the free mic moment to speak your piece, whatever it is.
That's a great question. I love it. When I talk with people, I always give them a magic wand moment. Right? I go, you got a magic wand. If I gave you a magic wand, what would you do? What would you say? Yeah, when it comes down to it, shout out to I always shout out to my family, and I have an amazing family that are so supportive. I have a wife and kids that understand that this is a challenging role, and they're so supportive. And they listen to me, and they listen to all the stories, and when I wake up in the morning, my why actually starts at home with my family and their their willingness to support me with love and grace. But in actuality, when it comes to the work, I was fortunate to get picked to be a superintendent in an amazing place. It's a destination district. We've had stability in this district for decades. Our board has clear vision for what they want out of the school district, which is to serve all kids and all families. I work with an amazing team of professionals at the cabinet level most closely, but throughout the organization. I get to walk classrooms frequently and see teachers that are inspiring kids every single day. So when it comes down to it, I'm just grateful to be here to represent this district for as long as I get to be, and to impact kids' lives. So that would be my shout out is thank you to my family for tolerating and supporting this career that I've had and in this role that can be wild and unpredictable at times, but also equally as thankful to the board for hiring me and really inspired day in and day out by the professionals and the teachers I get to see, and thankful for that I get to do the job that I do.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so very much for coming on today.
No, thanks.
Spending the time and sharing about your wonderful district. That's awesome. And we do have many districts, but you're another good one. So they're all good. That's a nice thing about being North Orange County Chamber is we've got great cities, great school districts, whether it's elementary, high school, whatever. It's very lucky. We're very lucky in the north of Orange County for sure. Thank you, listeners, for tuning in to Chamber Talk. Until next time, stay inspired and connected by visiting nocchamber.com and selecting sign up for news at the homepage. For more interviews, visit chambertalk.podbean.com.